making yourself a poppy show, making yourself a bloody clown.
Greetings from Castle Goring on yet another glorious, warm, sunny summer's afternoon. It is truly incredible. Every time I do a video, I think it's the last time I'm going to be able to wear summer clothes until next year. And then it happens again and again and again. I wonder how lucky we're going to remain. Well, fingers crossed. So, if I may, I will plunge right in. Katie M says, are you going to address audience booing the couple's film at National TV Awards? Yes, Katie M, I am going to address how the audience booed Harry and Meghan when the clip was aired. Yes, I am going to address it because I think it's very funny. It shows that the entertainment industry and even the British pseudo-establishment, or to put it another way, the British entertainment and media establishment, we know what they thought of Meghan and Harry because they booed. Very interesting. So Scabies can spin all he wants. He can spin like a top. It doesn't alter the fact that anybody who is rational and isn't reading pap and thinking it is truth is going to actually be able to see that Meghan and Harry have really and truly blotted their copy. And I have to tell you, I am actually pleased that they were booed, because maybe they will take a hint and learn a lesson. Maybe their behavior will improve. Maybe. Let's see. I hope. Of course, I have no expectations whatsoever. Reality Check says, Lady C, I love that name, Reality Check. Will you please do a video on the woke jokes being booed when they were shown during the montage of the National Television Awards ceremony? Do you think this will keep them from returning to the UK for a meeting with the Queen? After all, she does do Zoom. Very clever of you, Reality Check. Getting merchant... sorry. Sorry. Oh gosh, Ricky, you couldn't make this up. Getting merchant, not Lilibet, merchant, baptized, and his documentary. Sorry. Oh God, Ricky, you couldn't make this up. This is too funny for words. Do I think that will keep them away? Not if it suits them, not if it suits their bank account, not if it suits their brand, in quotes, not if it suits all their plans for the future. Because you need to remember, we are dealing with a couple that is so completely arrogant, deluded, self-centered and self-hypnotizing that their truth counts for far more than other truth. And Meghan is brazen. Meghan has balls of steel like the balls that Harry was juggling, except I don't think his were made of steel. Hers definitely are. And she's an ace juggler as well as an ace magician who's always pulling rabbits out of the hat. and will hopefully have learned her lesson, but will not have learned her lesson because her personality type never does learn their lesson. Every now and then they're backed into a corner and they learn to back off and regroup. But a leopard doesn't change its spots. Jeanette Newman says, ITV edited out the boos for the Harkles from the awards show. It's becoming a dictatorship. Well, ITV is a dictatorship of sorts. Let us remember its CEO is somebody called Dame Caroline McCall, who, on the strength of being a mother and a woman, dismissed a man and a father for doing his job. So yes, ITV under her stewardship is a form of a dictatorship. And like most dictatorships, it has a game plan, but its morality is somewhat dubious in terms of what the average conscionable person regards as acceptable morality. Avid Reader says, Lady C, Hilary Mantel is all over today's papers claiming that Prince George will never become king, as the monarchy will end before he can. It's going down the celebrity route and people will lose respect for it. What do you think of her comments? That's a very good question. Thank you very much. Hilary Mantel is, as those of us who have read her books knows, she is an extremely popular writer. Her trilogy on Thomas Cromwell was, despite not very good writing, and in fact in the first of the 3 books, Wolf Hall, the writing was just appalling. I mean, I would have been embarrassed to hand it over as a second draft, much less as a finished draft, to anybody, and to have it published. But her editors did intervene and told her that she needed to actually improve the quality of her writing, and she did somewhat. She's not a great writer, but she does have specks of greatness, and we cannot deny that fact. She is very knowledgeable about the period that she wrote about. She has the gift of immersing herself in the material to such an extent that there is a degree of immediacy that draws you in and captures your interest, even though at times it's very difficult to decide for what she's actually saying. She has a good command of colour. That's in terms of her writing. She is now being set up as an expert on monarchy generally, which is actually not so. Hilary Mantel, in my not so humble opinion, is making a series of fundamental errors. The first of which is royalty has always been and always will be the ultimate in celebrity. So to say that they're going down the celebrity route and that will destroy them is rubbish. It's how you go down the celebrity route that is the decisive factor. And Harry and Meghan have shown us when you are empty vessels and make a lot of noise, there is a clattering comeback, which is, to put it mildly, not to your credit or the credit of the institution. But if you examine the matter very carefully, Harry and Meghan have focused attention on the work of the other members of the royal family, who have shot up in the public's esteem, if only because Harry and Meghan have grabbed their attention and focused everybody's attention on the fact that the monarchy does do sterling work. People took it for granted. You know, when you take things or people for granted, to a large extent you ignore what is going on and you do not actually give them their complete due. That's why the Pope made taking people for granted a sin, because you're not giving people their proper due. To an extent, being taken for granted as an institution is, up to a point, a sign of comfort with the institution, and therefore a little bit of being taken for granted is not harmful, but a lot is counterproductive. Harry and Meghan have upped the ante, and in doing so have turned the royal family into, shall we say, a figure of interest. And certainly they turned themselves into figures of entertainment. Hilary Mantel is right about, if you denigrate the institution by behaving badly, that you will cause people to lose respect for it. However, only Harry and Meghan are the only ones who are at the moment behaving badly. And therefore, the rest of the family is, by contrast, being seen in a very positive light. I do not think that Hilary Mantel actually has her finger on this pulse. I think she should stick to the Tudors, especially Thomas Cromwell. I think also Hilary Mantel, like many people who have achieved success but were not born into an established world, don't understand that. And this is a common mistake that people in the media and arrivists make. They think if you're not in the newspapers, if you're not being acknowledged, if you're not going to cocktail parties 8 nights a week, that you are of no importance. That is absolutely not true. Established orders, as long as they remain productive, they do not need to grab column inches on a daily basis. And Hilary Mantel, like many people who have sought and achieved fame, get the wrong end of the stick. You can be very important, you can be very powerful, you can be very influential and be virtually unknown. She is confusing fame and celebrity with soft and real power. And I'm afraid it's not going to actually be effective. Seek after the truth says, my goodness, these names. The papers have been full of stories about Prince Charles and his people performing in a corrupt manner, selling access in return for large donations to his charities, etc. You were one of the nation's leading unpaid charity fundraisers, so presumably you know how things are done. Are the criticisms fair, and if not, why are they being made? Oh, today we really have some very interesting, weighty questions. Thank God. It's really the Times, the Sunday Times, that is full of the news and is the engine that is driving this story. This Sunday just gone, they had it, of course, on the front page, and last Sunday they had it on the front page as well. And let's not forget, a few months ago they had Prince Michael on the front page as well. You need to understand that the Sunday Times is, despite its reputation and despite the degree of prestigiousness which it still enjoys, is owned by Rupert Murdoch, who is anti-monarchist. Now, I speak from a certain amount of personal experience where the Sunday Times is concerned. Not only did they do the serialization of my 2012 biography of Queen Elizabeth, Queen Mother, which was called, let me see if I can remember it, The Untold Life of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. Sorry about that, it's so long ago, and really, once I've written something, I expel it. It's very difficult to retrieve it. They were happy to serialize the book because it was not an entirely flattering portrait of Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother. They were happy to serialize Diana, her untrue story, in 1992 by Andrew Morton, because they had an anti-monarchist agenda and they were determined, if they possibly could, to do injury to the monarchy. Rupert Murdoch is anti-monarchist and pro-Republican. Now, I'm not for Americans, not the Republican Party, the system of government called republicanism. The Murdoch papers have a brief which is to do utmost damage to the monarchy as and when they can. I have to tell you, I've read the stories and they have targeted Michael Fawcett and Michael Wynne Parker. Now, I've come across Michael Wynne Parker over the years because he has played a part in facilitating donations to worthy causes. You know, the Murdoch organization needs to make up its mind. If they're going to take over the sterling work that the Prince of Wales does in raising money for various charities and charitable endeavours, do so. Otherwise, don't create a scenario and try to blame the Prince of Wales's people for corruption when they are doing nothing that is not totally acceptable, always was, and hopefully always will be. When somebody gives millions of pounds to charity, with due respect, they are supposed to be acknowledged. It's not corruption. It's called appreciation. If Rupert Murdoch wants to push his hand in his pocket, fine. If the editor of the Sunday Times wants to push his hand in his pocket, fine. If you're not pushing your hand in your pocket, who the heck do you think you are to be criticising people who their reward for giving millions of pounds is to be received by the Prince of Wales for 20 minutes? Or if they give enough millions, they're given a CBE. What's wrong with being given a CBE for contributions to charity? Since when did that become corruption, you load of jerks? Quite frankly, I find the whole thing absolutely outrageous. I think they have one hell of a nerve. And I think they are abusive, and I think they are the corrupt ones. And I'm speaking about the organisation, the Murdoch organisation, and the publishers of the Sunday Times. They are the corrupt ones. They are accusing people of corruption who have not been corrupt. The whole thing is an absolute outrage. However, I suspect it's going to die a death. Yes, Michael Fawcett has stepped down, hopefully temporarily. Michael Wynne Parker was in their sights this week. Let's see who they have in their sights next week. But I can tell you something. Having spent decades trying to get people to part with their money for worthy causes, they're not doing it by and large to any extent unless they are going to get some reward, whether it is social advantage, being received by people they want to be received by, seen in situations they want to be seen by. That's not corruption. That is reality. How dare they put a vicious, nasty, evil spin upon what is perfectly acceptable behaviour. And Rupert Murdoch has quite enough money that he can be actually giving maybe 100 million a year and save the Prince of Wales and his people from having to raise it. Roops, that's a way forward. Victoria says, where are the Cambridges? Usually by this time they have public engagements. Is the monarchy going down? I think not, my dear. They have been in the south of France because Catherine's brother James Middleton got married and the whole of the Cambridge family went to the wedding. That's where they were. No mystery. They were on their summer break, and notice how it was done. No publicity. No. H, get Sunshine Sacks on the phone. We've not been in the newspapers today. H, come on. They got to earn their money. Who do these jerks think they are? I mean, come on. They just got to earn their money. And they've got to make us some money at the same time, H. Oh, come on, H. Stop juggling those balls and get yourself into high gear. Go on. That's the other way it's done. And I am afraid that that's not the desirable way. And I say full marks to the Middletons for not being fame junkies or media prostitutes. Carol, 70-year-old English nationalist, says, sorry, I do love some of these names. I cannot fathom whether rich or poor, black or white, intelligent or sick, how anyone, big block capitals, could call out a dying 99-year-old granddad, and furthermore, a 95-year-old wife of 70 years in grief, to make a brand and to make money. They have the right to their own life, business, money. We wish them well. But to destroy the mental health of a dying man and pour mental anguish on his grieving wife and family after his death, they have no right to. The rich and famous, the celebs and the woke that back these two in their global attack on people in devastating grief, would not do this to their own loved or elderly ones, would they? Good question. And are these the people they would use to help them in their mental anguish? Do they have the ability to give help, or better, the ability to cause mental anguish? These two have a business that offers just that. I think you've hit the nail on the head. The fact of the matter is, Meghan and Harry's behaviour has been unconscionable and inexcusable. The people who support them, well, if I drive the car that you're using to rob a bank, am I not an accessory to the crime? If after you've robbed the bank, you jump into my car and say, drive, I've just robbed the bank, I want to keep the money for myself, are you not an accessory after the fact? All their admirers, and I start with Oprah and I continue with Gail, etc., etc., all their admirers and supporters are accessories before, during, or after the fact to what is actually a moral crime. There are no two ways about it. And yes, I think this lady with her really rather interesting Monica has hit the nail very firmly on the head. I think anybody who supports Meghan and Harry at this time, as they continue to abuse the royal family, to pay no mind to the grief that the Queen, Prince Philip's children, his other grandchildren, and his other loved ones are enduring. I think everybody is equally sullied, and I think they are all proportionately to blame. And I'm glad you asked the question, because nobody else has actually asked the question or brought up that aspect of the subject, which I have to tell you I think is very commendable of you for having alighted upon this aspect of it. Jess Stone says, why are periodicals and TV companies employing scabies? He is just echoing H&M's proven lies. Well, you know, even a lavatory bowl has a purpose in life. Let's put it that way. These periodicals, these magazines, these publications, these sites, they have money to make. It's a money spinner. They're earning good money, selling the lies, knowingly selling the lies as truth. I have said this before and I'm going to say it again. In 1992, I had lunch with Robert Jobson, who is one of the royal correspondents who you can respect. There are not many that you can respect, but he's one. And I said to him, Robert, we were at the Brasserie Saint-Quentin on Brompton Road. And I remember very clearly saying to him, Robert, how is it that your paper and all of you can tell such absolute howlers about Diana when you know their lies? I mean, I just don't get it. And you know what his reply was? Georgie, if we spoke the truth, people would stop liking her as much as they do, and it would be bad for business. We wouldn't be able to sell as many papers. So we lie. That's not a word for word, but those are the thoughts conveyed absolutely accurately. I don't remember it word for word, but I certainly remember my thought and his thought as well. Nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. Evil has always prevailed when good men remain silent. And evil will always prevail when there is money to be made out of the purveyance of evil. It's as simple as that. And evil is not only world-shattering atrocities along the lines of Hitler, Stalin, Pol Pot, Mao Zedong. Evil is often very ordinary, very everyday. Te Aroha Henare. I hope I pronounced this name correctly. I have absolutely no idea how to pronounce it otherwise, so I'm sort of doing it phonetically. Sorry, my dear, if I've got your name incorrect. Is there any royal or royal party in history? Sorry. 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 That has caused such havoc to the same degree. I'm thoroughly curious. Well, I suppose you could say Anne Boleyn caused a certain amount of havoc. I mean, certainly the Pope at the time would have thought that she was right up there with Meghan Markle. and the consequences of her existence proved to be a real game changer, to use the vernacular. And trying to think of anyone else who... I'm sorry, it's such a funny question. And it's really not really funny either, is it? Because it's really very serious. Anne Boleyn. Someone else who caused havoc, Princess Caroline of Brunswick, who became Queen Caroline, George IV's consort. She caused a little bit of havoc, but George IV caused a lot more havoc trying to see her off, because he regarded her as a terrible nemesis, and he went down the route that an awful lot of people would like the royal family to go down with Harry and Meghan. And if you study the relationship between George IV and Queen Caroline, you will see that each of them was as undignified and unsavory as the other, but that he made a far bigger public spectacle of himself by trying to hardball her. I mean, there's actually, for those of you who don't know this story, they were separated. They got married. They were first cousins. They got married. They had Congress on one occasion only. He had to get drunk to get married to her. And he found her so repellent that he never, shall we say, sipped from that cup ever again. Sorry for... One has to laugh. I mean, you know, the antics that people do get up to can be quite bizarre. But anyway, they were separated, and he tried to divorce her for adultery and failed to do so. And then his father died. He acceded to the throne. He refused to allow her to be crowned beside him. She went to the abbey, this is absolutely true, battering down the doors, demanding to be let in so that she could be crowned alongside him. Very Montecito, no? So, there are precedents, my dear, and the monarchy has survived them. Although it has to be said, the monarchy did suffer. Susan 1962 says, can someone just please reveal what racist remarks, articles that were written about Meghan Markle? Yes, there were a few tasteless headlines from ragmags that no one takes seriously. But where were the racist articles? Where on earth do these racism claims come from? I seriously do not know what she is talking about. My dear, you have hit the nail on the head again. You are like that other lady. You have asked a question that actually no one else has asked, and that is very to the point. Yes, there are no racist articles. There are no racist comments. They don't exist except in Meghan's mind and the minds of her followers. She was described as exotic. I have been described as exotic. Anybody who is a bit different from the run of the mill has always been described as being exotic. Since they couldn't say that it was racist with me, they thought it was a compliment. But with her, it becomes an insult. one or two things like that, scratching around. The chicken foot gal, she's scratching around in the chicken pen for chicken feed with which to annihilate her opponents, which happen to be whoever she has in her sights. And not so convenient for them became the rest of the royal family. Scratching with one or two perfectly anodyne negative comments about her. But you see, a goddess like Meghan should never be criticised. How dare the ordinary journalists, or the ordinary public, or even the extraordinary journalists and the extraordinary public, deign to criticise a goddess? Who do they think they are? Who do they think they are? She should be revered at all times, and if she's not, they are racist. Well, very good question, and we have the answer. There are no racist articles about Meghan Markle. Her colour was never the problem. It was her character. Both begin with a C, but one is quite different from the other. Daniela Allen says, enough with the racist card, Meg, but I am Latin, my husband Anglo-Saxon. As a result, family and friends were wondering if the baby will be blue-eyed, blonde, or olive-skinned with brown eyes. No one is getting their knickers in a twist about it. Please. Did Fergie, Mark Todd, and Princess Diana's paramour blubber in public? I think not. You are both a disgrace to your families, even if your families were bakers or CEO of a company. I am appalled. Well, that's not a question. That is a commentary. And I would back it up 100%. Thank you, Daniela Allen, for your observations. You are but one of the many thousands of people who have now waded in confirming that there is absolutely nothing untoward about speculating about how a baby will look, what colour eyes it will have, what colour hair, indeed what colour skin. Beth Garrow says, she has two questions. Harry couldn't wait 24 hours to leave either. On the Queen's birthday, Has was having lunch with a Hollywood power player, a woman billionairess. You don't phone people like that at 10 in the morning and say, wanna eat? You make an appointment weeks in advance. Does that indicate plotting and planning? Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Harry, by his own account, came over with an open ticket, hoping he would be able to meet up with the Queen and other members of his family. And they wouldn't see him. He wasn't able to meet up with them. Remember? Charles shot off to Wales and the Queen shot up, if I remember correctly, to Scotland. Harry obviously knew that there was very little likelihood of Judas being received by the Christos family with honours, and therefore had made other plans. which were duly executed. Then, second part, Harry blew it when he was talking to Oprah on Apple TV. He said that Meg saw his pain and got him a therapist, yet she couldn't get one for herself. And shortly after, she was miraculously cured anyway. Well, how sincere is that? How genuine? Good point. Good point. She manages to get him a therapist, according to him, and of course he's completely forgotten that William and Catherine are the ones who encouraged him to go into therapy years before he met Meghan. But that is one of the recollections may vary occasions that have caused such outrage where they are concerned. Because if you don't agree with their present version, even though it disagrees with their previous version, and the one before that as well, you are a horrid, evil person. More than likely a racist as well. Well, yes, of course, Meghan was perfectly able to find a therapist for Harry, but she couldn't find a therapist for herself. She couldn't find help for herself. Poor, sweet, helpless darling. Mickey, come and console Marty. Marty's grief-stricken on Meghan's behalf. Come on, baby girl, please. Help Marty, come on. Give Marty licks. Marty needs consolation. I'm just so empathetic. Mickey, please, come on. Mickey's ignoring me. Mickey's saying, it's all rubbish, Marty. Pay no attention to it. Beth says, allow me to apologize in advance for sending you a question that may seem superficial. My mother and I adore watching your videos. We admire how skillfully your makeup is applied and your lovely skin. Thank you. Oh gosh. Please tell me what brand of lipstick you wear. You always have the loveliest shades that are so hard to get right on a pale complexion. I have been telling my mother I would ask you, but she didn't believe I would. With the greatest respect, Beth. Please say hello to my lovely mother, Catherine, as well. Hello, Catherine. Lovely to get your daughter's question. Well, I don't know what to say. The basic makeup that I wear is all very cheap. I just rush through this for a second, and those of you who aren't interested, this is coming to the end, so just skip. I wear a Factor 50 sunscreen every morning, first thing. I don't normally wear makeup when I'm just battering around the house. I never used to wear makeup on a daily basis until I was 36. And a friend of mine, the writer Catherine Olsen, who in private life is Lady Mancham, the widow of the former president of the Seychelles, Sir James Mancham, who helped to foster my writing career, I have to tell you. She said to me after my first book was published, Lady Colin Campbell's Guide to Being a Modern Lady, she said, now Georgie, you've got to stop rattling around town without makeup on a daily basis. You've got to put on makeup now. So I started to wear it when I was going out, but I still don't wear it at home. So that started me wearing makeup. Otherwise, I only ever wore it at night when I was going out, never during the day. So I suppose my skin got a rest to begin with. Then I keep out of the sun and I use Factor 50 sunscreen as a moisturizer. I use I think it's either Boots or Rimmel or Maybelline foundation. I use Rimmel or Maybelline powder. I don't remember which one because I believe in only using cheap makeup. I think everything else is a complete waste of time and money. Then my lipstick, well, the basis of my lipstick, I have all sorts of old lipsticks going back 1,000 years. I don't throw things out unless they are completely finished, because willful waste, woeful want, and I don't believe in waste unnecessarily. So another dear friend of mine called Elaine Trebek-Carries, she, to those of you who watched Jeopardy, she was married to Alex Trebek, and she's a very, very old friend of mine as well. Kate and I go back to, actually, to the mid-70s, but Elaine and I go back to the early 70s. And the last time that I saw Elaine here, she was in England. She had some lipstick things that she was putting on, and I admired one, and she gave me the whole lot. So that forms the basis. I use lip pencil to outline my lips. Then I use that, but I don't know what they're called. I'm sorry, but there are, you know, the things that you sort of, I use a makeup brush and put it on because it stays. So it's one of those long-lasting, it's not a lipstick, it's a lip liquid. Then I use one of the other lipsticks that I have floating around. I have about 30 of them. Please like, share, subscribe, press the notification bell, and keep the questions coming in. They are invaluable. Without them, I could not do this. God bless you. Bye-bye.